So subject-verb agreement is one of the things that most students find difficult to understand. So let's go through it together. So essentially the whole premises of subject-verb agreement is to say that the subject has to agree with the verb. Okay, so let's look at singular subject. When something is singular, when a subject is singular, the verb usually ends with an S. So for example, it says the dog runs fast. So in here, the subject is the dog, okay, and it is singular, means there's only one. So therefore, the verb will end with an S. Let's look at the next example. It says she likes pizza. So she is a subject, okay. It is singular, and likes, it's a verb that ends with the S. Next one, the teacher explains the lesson. The teacher here is a subject. It is singular, there's only one teacher, and explains is the verb here, and it ends with an S here. Now, for plurals, the verb does not end with an S. So let's have a look at this. The dogs run fast. So the dogs is a subject. There's multiple, so multiple dogs, which means it's plural. And you can see the verb does not end with an S. So it just says run. So let's look at the next one. They like pizza. They, it's a subject, more than one, so it's plural. Like is the verb. So it doesn't end with an S. Last one, the teachers. So again, the subject, and it's plural, right? And therefore explain does not have, which is the verb, does not have an S. So if we look at the difference, okay, if it's singular subject, that means that there is an S at the end for the verb, so verb will end with an S. If it's plural subject, the verb does not end with no S at the end. Okay, now with sentences that has he, she, it, the verb usually has an S. So he is a subject, it's singular, and plays is the verb, so it ends with an S. She, subject, singular, reads is the verb, so it ends with an S. So when we look at I, you, we, they, none of them has an S for the verb. I play football. You don't say I plays football. You reads a lot. We don't say that. Instead, we say you read a lot. So you is the subject, singular, and then read is the verb here. Let's look at this sentence. I want you to pause the video and see if you can figure out what the subject is and what the verb is for this sentence. This can be quite confusing because there could be possible or multiple answers for this. So box could be a possible answer, chocolates could be a possible answer, even table could be a possible answer. These sentences have something called prepositional phrases. Okay, so let's have a look at what prepositional phrases are. So they have preposition, and they give extra information about the noun here. So prepositions, okay, most common ones are of, in, on, under, between, near, from. These are just possible ones, right? So for example, you could have of chocolates, in the classroom, on the table. So here, of, in, on, these are the prepositions, right? So when you have a prepositional phrase, which is maybe 3 to 4 words that starts with a preposition, you can usually ignore that. So let's have a look at this, right? So in this example, boxes of chocolate is on the table. The correct subject is the box, okay? So this is the subject, and this is singular. Now, if you said chocolates, right, and said that's a subject, that means that it's a plural subject, right? Which means that the is would be wrong here, right? If you said chocolates is the subject, right? So the correct answer here is, let's go back. The correct answer here is boxes is the subject, and you just have to ignore everything else in the middle. So the prepositional phrase here would be this part, boxes of chocolates. Okay, so we just pretend like this isn't here, and then we see, does the subject match with the verb here? There's one box, therefore is correct. The verb here is, right, which is correct. So as I said, prepositional phrases of chocolates. Let's look at another one here. The book on the desk belongs to me. So the prepositional phrase here would be on the desk. We just ignore that. So the subject here is book, it's singular, and then it matches with belong because it has the S here. Singular means the verb should have an S, right? Let's have a look at another example. The girl with the red backpack is my sister. So the prepositional phrase is with the red backpack. Okay, we just ignore that. So the girl is the subject and it's singular, and therefore it matches with the verb here, which is the is. Okay, I hope that makes sense. If you need more help, please reach out to me. Let's look at some example. Maybe pause the video here and see if you can figure out the answers. Okay, so we have to ask ourselves, the first thing we should be doing is to find the subject. And this is probably the most difficult part of the whole process, is to find the subject. And then the second part is to figure out what exactly is the verb here and if it matches. Okay, so here, pause it as I said and see if you can figure it out. So it says the cat, that's a subject. Okay, this is singular, subject singular, and then what is the verb here? It would be runs. The cat runs across the yard. The next one, students in the classroom is/are working quietly. So you need to ask yourself, what is the subject here? The subject here is the students, and it is plural, right? So we would write the word are. Last one, the box of chocolates was/were left on the table. The subject here is box, singular, subject, and therefore was is the correct answer. So if it was plural, then where would be the correct answer. But in this case, was is the correct answer because it is singular subject, right? Because we ignore the chocolate part, right? All right. So that's it for subject-verb agreement. As I said, if you need more